A moment ago, a statement from the chairs of these three different committees is now available. Back to Chad Pergram for that. And what are they saying, Chad?
Well, they're saying basically here the resolution provides rules in the format for open hearings in the House Intelligence Committee, including staff-led questioning of witnesses, and it authorizes the public release of transcripts. That's from the committee chairs. What I think is important here is the fact that when I go through this 8-page resolution, they indicate that there are rights of the minority, that they can call witnesses. There's no timeline for when they have to wrap this up, that they will have public hearings under the aegis of the House Intelligence Committee, and then they send this over to the Judiciary Committee. That is the part of this process which we all thought would happen, but this kind of codifies. Historically in the House of Representatives, Bill, when they deal with impeachment, it's the Judiciary Committee that writes articles of impeachment. In the 1974 model with Richard Nixon and the 1998 model with Bill Clinton, the Judiciary Committee took the work of the outside counsels. You had Archibald Cox and Leon Jaworski in Watergate. You had Ken Starr in the Monica Lewinsky affair. And then they took that information in the Judiciary Committee. The difference here in this codification of this investigation is that you have multiple committees which will then have hearings and subpoenas and rights, and then send this to Judiciary at some point down the road to actually write those articles of impeachment.
Why would that strategy be adopted now? What would be the advantage for the committee has to do it that way?
Right. Well, the Democrats will say, you know, there has been no investigation. Their argument is that there was no independent counsel looking at this. There should have been. We can argue Robert Mueller, you know, was certainly looking at issues pertaining to Russia, but not Ukraine. Now, again, Republicans turn around and turn that around as a talking point against Adam Schiff, saying he's supposed to be the grand jury and the prosecutor. In the cases of Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton, you had outside counsels who did the review, sent it to the Judiciary Committee, and the Judiciary Committee took that work at face value and translated that into articles of impeachment. That's the key distinction here when comparing this in a historical prism.
Okay, I'm just reading through this. Open hearings, 5 minutes per lawmaker. That sounds pretty standard.
Yes, absolutely.
If something like that holds. Did you hear Senator David Perdue, the Republican from Georgia, last night?
Yes, I did.
He was on with Brett on Special Report, and he said, what's the chance that this goes forward in the Senate with some sense of authority, suggesting, will it pass? And Senator Perdue said, not a chance in hell.
Yeah,
and then Brett said, why do you say that? He says, because I've seen the evidence. So what are you hearing on behalf of senators if it goes to that endpoint as of today, Chad?
2 points here. I asked Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell just about an hour ago whether or not when they continue on the Republican side of the aisle to condemn the Democratic process, can they be fair jurors? And he said, well, we have to see what the House sends over to us. Now, again, keep in mind that the number is 67. Bill, I'm going to really take you down the rabbit hole here, and this is something that's very important. 67, two-thirds is the vote. But if you have senators who are absent, keep in mind that we might not get to a trial until January, February. What happens in February? The Iowa caucuses. You have the New Hampshire primary. There's nothing written down in concrete language that senators have to be there or have to actually vote. It's a binary choice. You either vote conviction or innocence. You know, Arlen Specter in 1999 said not proven under Scottish law. That was his language, and they said you can't vote that way. If you have senators who don't show up or don't vote, that 67 number dwindles. In other words, it's an unqualified two-thirds. It's two-thirds of who votes. And so that could affect the impact there. And that's something that nobody has really considered in this matrix.
Okay, one last question here. Got to make it quick. I'm just reading through this language here. Provides the president opportunities to participate. How would the White House take advantage of that opportunity? What would their strategy be in an open hearing, Chad?
Well, you could see them sending counsel. You could see them sending their witnesses to provide exculpatory information. We certainly saw that in 1998 with the process of Bill Clinton, and again in 1974 with Richard Nixon. But that could play out in those hearings there. And again, this doesn't pertain to the Senate, but in a Senate trial, you present it much the way as you have the prosecution and the defense. The House sends over managers. They are the, quote, prosecutors. And then the president would send over his defense team. In 1998, Charles Ruff was the lead attorney for President Clinton.